Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to this course on Excel for Business Analytics. And in this lecture, I'm actually going to talk about cell references. What are cell references? What is a relative cell reference? What is an absolute cell reference? And then actually, I'm also going to talk about an advanced mixed reference, which actually is a combination of both these sort of references that I just mentioned. So let's move to an example sheet where I can actually show what these different types of cell references are. So let's start with the relative reference. So let's assume that you have a table with total revenues, total expenditures for particular months, and you want the net revenue by subtracting total revenue from total expenditure, which is actually just do that right now over here. Once you drag and drop this formula, you see that the formula actually gets you the correct answer because the cell referencing is actually moving as you move your selection. So what I mean by that is that once you actually start to move the formula, the cell actually being referenced to get you the answer to that formula are actually moving with your selection. So once you move the cell down, the cell referencing, which is over here in blue and red, or B5 and C5, are actually moving with your selection. So this is what a relative reference is, because the reference is moving relative to your selection or your movement of the formula. On the other hand, what is an absolute reference? So for example, let's say that you want to find the percentage of expenditure per month in relation to the total expenditure in a particular year. So the formula for that would be the total expenditure divided by the monthly expenditure divided by total expenditure of the entire year. Once you start dragging and dropping this formula, it's actually going to give you the incorrect answer. Why? It's because of the fact that the referencing to the total value is actually moving with your drag and drop action. So we need to actually ensure that the actual total expenditure referencing, which is in blue or I4, is actually not locked in, but the referencing of the total value at the bottom is actually locked in. So when I move the formula, it actually does not move with the formula. How can we do that? We can actually do that by simply going into the cell where the formula is, and then pressing F4 and right next to the cells that we want to lock up. Once you do that, you would see that your referencing is actually engulfed in dollar signs. So you have a dollar before I, which is for your columns, and a dollar before 15, which is for your cell, which is for your row. This actually shows that your cell referencing is actually locked as of right now. Press enter, and once you drag and drop all the way down to the bottom, you will see that the cell referencing has not moved for the total value. So this is absolute referencing. So you have actually locked in a particular reference of the formula, and you're actually not allowing it to move. So you're actually referencing a particular absolute reference, and that's why this is actually called an absolute reference, because you do not allow for the formula to move. A portion of the formula to not move. So you're actually allowing the monthly values to move, but you're not allowing the total value to move. So now I actually want to talk about the third type of cell reference that we discussed when we started this lecture, and that is the advanced mixed reference. So the advanced mixed reference is actually a combination of relative and absolute references, and the whole point, it's mostly useful when you're actually trying to create some sort of a grid and you want to control the vertical out and the horizontal movement at the same time. So let's just have a look at an example where we can actually see this phenomena happening. So let's assume that I have a grid of arbitrary values. I have columns over here with values 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. And then I have a row over here with values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I want to do is I want to multiply the values in my columns with the values in my rows and create a sort of a grid over here in order to actually get the multiplied values between this column values and the rows values. So when I actually drag and drop my formula, which is already set up, I see that it's not actually giving me the correct answer. And the reason for that is that it's actually multiplying the right column value with the wrong row value. And I need to put that into check. And the way I can do that is actually I can go into the formula and stop the cell references in the rows from actually moving downwards. How am I supposed to do that? If I press F4, both the cell reference N2 and N2, as a whole reference actually gets locked in. But I don't want that. I just want the row to actually be stuck over here. I don't want these. I don't want the column reference to actually be stuck over here, because later I need to move the column from left to right as well. So at that point, I would require this one to actually flip over to 2 and multiply with 20. So I don't want to lock in the column reference. I just want to lock in the row reference. And how I can do that? So once you've actually pressed F4, if you press F4 once again, and you see the dollar sign before the row number, this is an indication that right now your row level has actually or your row has actually locked in. So once you click or press enter and then drag down, what you'll see is that now it's actually giving me the correct answer. It's multiplying 50 with 1, it's multiplying 40 with 1, it's multiplying 30 with 1, as it's visible over here. But what happens if I actually then copy and paste or drag and drop the formula over here? Is it giving me the right answer? No, it's not. It's actually 50 with multiplied by 5 is not 6,000, it's actually 250. Right now what it's doing is it's actually allowing the movement of my column, and it's not restricting it. So it's actually reproducing the same phenomena that was happening in a row format. It's actually now letting the column actually move, and I don't want that. The column is supposed to be locked over here, while the row actually also moves and gives me the correct answer. So how can I do that? All I need to do, I'll have to do this at the original formula level or the original cell level, so it actually gets replicated correctly. What I want to lock right now is I want to lock the M column, so that it actually doesn't move, when I actually move it from left to right. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that real quickly. And let's see if it gives me the correct answer vertically. It is actually giving me the correct answer vertically. And let's see if it gives me the right answer horizontally. And yes, it is. So right now this is how you actually set up an advanced mixed reference, where you have a combination of absolute and relative reference working at the same time in order to create grids or grids of data. It's a very useful tool, and you can actually always change the dynamics of this grid by actually changing the dynamics of the formula by actually pressing F4 and changing which component you want to change, and this can actually give you different results. So I hope this lecture was actually useful, as cell references are something, they're kind of tricky, not that tricky, but they actually sometimes can confuse you, and I hope this actually clarified all the different types of cell references that are out there, and I hope to see you in the next lecture.